I'm trying to figure out everything. Forgive me. I just lost my chat. Okay, there it is. I guess. Where do you see the chat thing? Oh God. No, sorry. Forgive me. One sec. Where do you see like the chat? Oh, I guess there. Okay. Now I want to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember now. You have to do that thing. Give me one more minute here. So I had somebody reach out yesterday that was just asking me for insights and tips. And but my immediate reaction is, what do you want to know? And the tricky thing with me is I change my, not just subject matter, but my entire style regularly. Like there is a cycle, like it's kind of like a merry-go-round. Every number of months I'll kind of repeat certain styles. But in general, I am very hard to lock down, and not necessarily even on purpose. I get overwhelmed with my own direction, and I get an idea, and I just want to do something different all the time. Whereas I would say the majority of artists have a style and they stick to it and they really nourish that and nurture that style, and I think that's really valuable. I'm not that person. And so sometimes that's really beneficial and sometimes that's really damaging and can cause me actually a lot of stress. However, overall I'd say it's a plus. And I can force myself to like stick to something, but I typically don't. I just let myself go nuts all the time. And I think the reason I do that is because it really keeps art fresh for me. Keeps everything fresh. And one of the reasons I'm back on doing lives is because I'm right now I'm in this world where I'm just doing like these rapid, aggressive portraits, and they're on like this thick stock paper. So the paper is really forgiving, and I really love how it feels when I'm painting. And I'm cranking them out, like just really aggressive. I have like only so much gas in the tank for these pieces, and it exposes a few different things. It exposes how I work. Let me just get this going here. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this live. Okay, there we are. What's going on? Can't read your name, but I see you. Lilyberry. What paint do you use? Right now I'm using oils. Let me just get something on the canvas to show you guys. On the paper, rather. I'm using paper today. Lately, rather. I'm using paper these days. Okay. We're going with, I needed some inspiration, so often with the inspiration, I go to, I have a catalog or a large Rolodex of stock images and images I've saved at this point for years and years and years. And I will sit through there and have coffee and look at images and see what happens. And sometimes that, I would say usually that I'll get something like, yes, right, I wanted to paint that. And then I'm ready to go get after it. And then sometimes I have not, like I can sit in front of images for, you know, an extended period of time and I got nothing. So then I always say, I think this, I won't even take credit. I think it's David Cho says it, just when in doubt, paint Batman. And I really believe in that. There's something about that kind of philosophy. When in doubt, paint Batman. And then for me today, it was like, when in doubt, look at mug shots. So I was looking through mug shots and I found a bunch of celebrity mug shots that inspired me. I found to be inspiring. So I'm getting a base, and remember, right now I'm really into paper. It's like a really thick art paper. So on one hand it's super cheap, but on the other hand I've done some investigating to find the right kind of stock that I can use this application. There was a couple artists that I've seen in the past that paint on paper. And then when I discovered it a number of years ago, I find it if I had to just like lay a stake, I'd say it's my favorite method. More than canvas, more than panels. Paper is for me. So I'm just kind of been spending time figuring out how to present this. So I ordered a bunch of materials to, when people purchase the work, they'll get the art and it won't feel cheap. It'll be somewhat, not mounted, but comes in a sleeve and will look presentable. So, but it's just my preferred method, especially right now. And as I started off saying, like, I was painting on canvas panels for the last year, and something told me I want to go back to paper. And with the paper, it really allows me to crank out paintings, just crank out paintings. And when I'm going through what I'm going through right now, I need to be able to, it's almost like, I want to say take care of myself, because it's so sporadic and manic, these kinds of phases that I go through where I get really overwhelmed with my ideas and I want to paint as much as possible. So, one, you need to be inspired. So I have that lot. I'm really inspired. I'm inspired just to paint. The subject matter I'm not so much sold on. I'm not like, right now I'm looking at a Bruno Mars mugshot. I just like the skin color. I like I just like it. It's like these face on. Really, what it is, I'm pulling from the fact that it's a mugshot, but it's actually these straightforward, like really basic photographs that are even often like not even high resolution. Adding a neck is good. Sometimes I'll do a floating head, but even we can add some like shirt, because I want the portrait to be full and complete. I have a bunch of parameters that just happen where I must do something in order for me to be satisfied. Let's pull his hair down a little bit and pull the whole portrait down. I got a bunch of new brushes that I'm excited about. These are called filbert brushes, so they're like rounded, and I'm really into them right now. So there's a few things that are going to happen with a portrait like this. One, I'm either going to paint Bruno Mars as a mugshot and leave it and really try to like nail down his features and, you know, try to deliver a portrait of Bruno Mars. That, believe it or not, for me, that is something that I think about. Two, we're going to morph him into somebody else, into an entirely different person. Three, we're going to morph him into something that doesn't even exist, so like kind of like a figment of my imagination. Three, we're going to like damage it, like destroy it and break it down and then rebuild. Four, we're going to there's one more that I kind of typically go to. Let's stick with three for now. So let me say it for my own benefit. One, you set out to, okay, I'm going to paint Bruno Mars. Like sometimes I was looking at a couple portraits. I'm like, oh, I'd love just to paint that portrait as is. I don't need to change it. I just want to paint. I painted that Miriam lady a couple weeks ago. The lady who shot her child's killer in jail, in court. I just felt like I just wanted to bring some, not just I just wanted to bring, I was inspired to paint her. I painted her as is. So that does happen. The next thing that happens is I like to swap it around and like find the art. I like to paint and keep painting, and I'll change my references. And I'll keep going until I feel something, or even when I start to run out of gas, so I lock myself in on something. And then the third one is where I completely destroy it. And in the destruction, I'll see something, and then I'll take it there. Earlier this week, I was painting not landscapes, but like full pieces with like the background and everything. And then I just really missed my portraits. But you can see how the paper really absorbs a lot of the paint, especially in the beginning. So I have a decent composition, meaning just it's pretty straightforward. Want to be in the middle. Now look, I'm going to lay out his mouth. So I'm still going for Bruno Mars at this point. Bruno Mars is mugshot, so you can look at the reference that I'm referring to. I like it. I like his skin. I had like a Justin Timberlake. A bunch of them. There's a bunch of celebrity mugshots that are good starting points. But because I'm just in this place right now, creatively, that's why I'm going live again. Because it's like before, what happens if a painting takes 2, 3, 4, 5 days, streaming, I just run out of gas after the first, like basically the first hour. But because I'm cranking out these portraits, I was kind of excited to like, okay, well, if I can get a full painting in when I'm streaming during the stream, whether it's 2 hours, 3 hours, an hour, I'm really satisfied with that. I think that's decent, I guess. I think a decent video to, you know, I think it'll have enough energy for me to upload it and do all that stuff. Because before I was doing streams and it's fun to say hi to you guys. Yes, I only listen to music. I listen to music podcasts, but when I'm streaming, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to stream and listen to music where it doesn't get copywritten. I don't think you can, as far as maybe I'm wrong on that, but like music is important as the paintbrush. Music's important as the paintbrush. I'm kind of dead serious on that too. Music can make a painting. Oh my God, it's so vital. But I do also like to listen to something. So I do listen to news, and believe it or not, the news can sometimes be inspiring, especially when shit's super wonky out there. I'll get a burst of energy, even if it's like negative. I'll use that to my advantage. If you want something more wholesome, then music's going to be the way to go. But yeah, I stand behind that. Music is important as the paintbrush. No joke. But so when I'm streaming, there is no music and it's tough. It's hard. Okay. So now I'm kind of pausing. And you'll have to forgive me. I'm always all over the map. My thoughts will run rampantly and all over the place. I'll try to come back to what I was talking about. But I just, it's kind of like my mind works the same way that I paint. Destroy, rebuild, add, subtract. Swap. So one of my biggest secrets is when I paint like this, then all of a sudden I'll just swap my reference altogether. You know, with like I'll have some discernment or input. Like it won't just be any random image, but like I will take this, and once I hit a wall, then I will just totally start with a whole new reference image. So all of a sudden I'll be painting somebody else's ear. And that's kind of my secret. And then I just keep working with it. But that's one of the biggest things that I do, the most common thing that I do with my painting. It's almost like I get tired of the subject matter. Or I had like, oh, I want to paint Bruno Mars, and then as I'm painting, I'm like, no, I don't. I'm over it. It's one way to kind of put it. The other way is I also know it's quite enjoyable to do that. I enjoy mashing up different kind of ideas and facial features. Because painting on paper, it does take up a lot more oil paint. So when you're painting on canvas, you can get away with like these really light layers. These really light. You don't need a lot of paint. You can use a lot of medium. With the paper, you start ending up like dunking the piece in oil paint. Which again is kind of where I'm at. I really like that. There's times where I don't. There's times all of a sudden I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. I want to like lightly apply the medium, the paint. Yeah, Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars mugshot. I think it's a good starting point. I don't know what's going to happen. Right now I'm still sticking with it. You know, there can be a bunch of outcomes. I could stick with this for an hour and then turn it. Or I can jump into something else. It's really I haven't pre-planned this at all. They're hardly ever pre-planned. But as I said earlier, sometimes there are. Like sometimes I'm painting like, oh, I really want to paint Bruno Mars's mugshot from start to finish and really try and pull it together. The other fun thing is that happens is like right now, despite the fact that I allow myself to really play, I am always trying. So the fun part is like, I said this about like, if you want to create an abomination, if you want to create something super gnarly, you take the cast of Friends, remember the show Friends? And you really try to paint Joey. Like you try your hardest. You try your hardest to paint Lisa or whatever their names are, Becca. And when you try your hardest to paint a person like that or a character like that, you'll just naturally end up with a complete disaster. And that's kind of like, that's what it's all about for me. So right now it's like I'm painting Bruno Mars, but look at that, like this is a disaster, but I'm trying. You think I'm joking? I'm trying right now. I'm trying my hardest to paint Bruno Mars. The secret is they're like, okay, I really want to paint Bruno Mars. How do I make that happen? Well, it just takes time to just keep refining and refining, adding, subtracting items. But if you let yourself enjoy the disaster you're creating, I think that's the fun part. That's the funnest part. That's the best part. That's the art. So if you go paint Lisa Kudrow or Ross, and you really try, and you spend a couple, 30, 40, 50 minutes on this portrait of Lisa and Rachel, that was the name of them, I said Becca, and you will end up with this ghoulish figure and portrait. And I think that's the art. And that's kind of what I just keep doing. So if I really want to, like I said, I keep saying his name, but if I want to paint Bruno Mars, I can just keep refining it. Okay, get his cheekbones down, get his eye line right, get his lips right, his smile. I can do it. All it is, and you can too, it's just refining. You go, okay, that's not quite his jaw, so do it again. But I don't enjoy that process typically. Once in a while you'll see me pop out a standard portrait. But typically, I'm just trying in the moment. At least I'm trying to get his eyes here. His nose is already off, but I like it. So now I'm just playing with that nose. Now it kind of looks like a drug lord, or you see how you start to see, but this is me trying to paint. I can't emphasize this enough. This is me trying to paint Bruno Mars, and look at what we have. It's an absolute disaster. And that's, if I can offer one piece of I'm not even going to call it advice. If I can offer one creative point, it's what I'm saying right now. This is Bruno Mars, and look at it. It's going to haunt you. And then this happens every time. Now, like I said, you can grid, you can draw it out, you can trace it to only get Bruno. Even then, you're still going to find some wacky stuff. But when you just start painting with the intention of getting Bruno Mars, you end up with this. And this is, to me, what it's all about. All right, see what you guys are saying. That makes sense. I definitely understand the music always changes how my art looks. I can never, Lily, I'm reading your thing. I can never really paint what I want. It's all just random accidents that turn out to something strange. Right. And I think when you keep I think, in all fairness, I don't want to completely mislead you. I did do many years of portrait painting where I'm setting out to get an outcome that I previously mapped out and intended to do. Not that it was great or anything. Some of them were good. A lot of them were tough. So I learned by painting portraits. I'm just not there anymore. I don't enjoy it. I don't, it's not my favorite thing to do. I painted my nephews recently, and it's like, that's really hard for me to do. I just kind of felt like I was thinking about them, and so it was, again, a different part of my brain, but it's not what I do. Because people have asked me all the time, it's almost like sometimes people say, oh, can you paint my cats? That's not only are there some fantastic cat painters out there, that's not what I do. And how do I know what I do? It's because like when the door's closed and I'm just sitting in front of my easel, and decades later, what do I just naturally gravitate to? It's not painting kind of like a standard thing by any stretch. And so when I force myself to do that, it's tough. All right, I got some new brushes. Let's try this out. I got a new little filbert brush for smaller details. This will be a really like this area. It's almost like it's separate. This reminds me, we have Bruno Mars at home. That meme. We have Bruno Mars at home. I kind of like this. I'm not gonna lie. So let's see what, let's hold here. Hold. 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 Oh man, that brush is okay. Sometimes I'm still in a place in my life where I will buy a cheap brush and then regret it. But I'm very hesitant to spend, some large amount of money on a brush, even though it's probably worth it. This brush is brand new. Yeah, I like it. Sometimes you just have to work with what you got. That also is like, I've learned that over the years. I started by painting abstract, and sometimes you just run out of tools and run out of, I just gotta do something that's bothering me. Problem is, this will pull some of the paper off, but it's still worth it, unfortunately. That's just a mistake on my part. Anyways, sometimes you just got to use the tools that you have and kind of figure them out. Like I buy really cheap brushes sometimes totally on purpose. Like they're really like stiff, like horse hair, or like synthetic, like stiff, cheap dollar store brushes. And those are really fun. Okay. But as I'm getting older, there are times where I'm like, man, I kind of wish I had like a $40 filbert. I want to feel what that's like. Right now I'm using a 20-cent filbert. And I can tell the difference. But it doesn't really deter me. I kind of just, you start to like, okay, I know what it does, what it doesn't do. Let me see here. Oh yeah, I kind of like this. We have Bruno Mars at home. This is speaking to me. This is speaking to me. And once you start using the brush, even if it's cheap, you start to get used to it. You know how it works, what its capabilities are, so then you start to just naturally play into them. One thing that's personal is like I have to get in this rhythm where like, I know it sounds crazy and I don't want to give away the whole game, but I'm going to work with this. Like this just happened. Sometimes I can mess with something for hours and hours and hours and hours. No exaggeration. Right now, this kind of idea of Bruno Mars at home, I think we landed like really fast. Let's see where we end up. I think this is where we're going. I'm shocked. But I think what I was saying about the person, like, hey, you gotta let yourself be okay with that. Sometimes when a painting comes together, that's okay. It's okay. Are we gonna, I think we're gonna give them like the straight up hardcore stash too. Oh wow, it's happening. I think it's all the way across, no breaks. There's a little there, but bigger eyes. Let me see what happens. I love this brush. This is a more expensive one. Not by much, but it is. And it does last longer. Sometimes you get a brush. I bought a cheap brush recently, and it literally failed within the first painting, which is like, I was shocked. Even though it was cheap, I was like, I can't believe it's done. Like it was all the bristles were getting destroyed. I am aggressive, but not that aggressive. Where I expected a piece, and I really liked it. It was really felt nice, but then it just didn't last. So sometimes little things like this, like why did the teeth have to be normal? Why did the teeth have to be normal? I was just going to put the middle thing in there, you know, your middle gap. Why? Why would you do that? Like maybe he, man. Bruno Mars at home. I like the eyebrows. What happens when we pull his eyes down? So the question was, do I move the eyebrows or do I move the eyes? Is his nose flat or is there a little thing? Do these go out? Let's see, let's keep going. Back to my filbert. He's been up late, singing at the karaoke. Late night karaoke. The king of karaoke, if you will. Oh, the eyebrows are going up. Okay, that's fine. Love this olive skin is wild. It's like green and brown and yellow ochre. Yeah, this brush is all right. It's cheap, but I like it. Loving it. Thanks, Lily. Twister. Sorry, I didn't know if you already said this. What music do you like at the moment? There are always amazing song picks on your amazing videos. I absolutely. Oh, well, right now there's a lot of Johnny Cash, but that just comes in waves. When I'm listening to like random playlists, that's my advice. I listen to a lot of stuff that you think you might not like, and then you're probably right. There's a bunch of stuff that just doesn't hit, but 1 out of 5, you're like, oh, this is pretty good. So I have been listening to more classical rock and stuff, and then so you just go through phases. But yeah, music is. We were saying it earlier. Like I really am going to stand behind this now. Music is as important as the paintbrush because it can kind of get you over it can get you over humps. It can inspire. You can get lost. You can get way more done. Oh, it's just endless, and it feels good. It feels like you're doing something good. So yeah, music's super critical. I listen to like, I guess you would just call it what, like indie rock is probably my number one. And I also started listening, since I got TikTok, there's a bunch of people that recommend music. So I started following them because I'm like, oh, these are some pretty good, because they can start getting you into some deeper into the genre, and I appreciate that. And then I found somebody, sometimes I'll look up certain things, and other people's playlists on Spotify will, so not just like a Spotify recommendation thing, but somebody else's actual playlist where they drop, 100 songs. And that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, oh, maybe you don't like, the majority, but they got a couple like beauties in there that you can add to your own playlist. So I'm always just hunting for new music. Always hunting for new music. In fact, the older I get, the more like serious I am about it, funny enough. Like I take it seriously in my own mind. I'm like, oh, I gotta stop what I'm doing and save that. So now I think what we'll do is, give me a moment. I'm gonna need to think. 1 second. I'll be right back. So now I'm trying to see. I'm going to change my glasses, so I take these and swap out to a more what do you call them? Like more magnified, I guess. My eyes are pretty bad, so I have like kind of different glasses. We'll do like kind of the standard art rule, oil painting rule, or painting rules. Now we just go a little brighter. So you'll see a lot of teachers kind of break down, especially the basics. But all I'm doing now, kind of you have the T zone, they call it. Just gonna brighten it up. So we started dark, now we go brighter. We're not doing details. You know who's a really great person who breaks down, and I've probably mentioned them a few times in the past, is that I think he goes by the painting coach. And I just like his simplicity of talking about blocking, and you can find the painting coach on everywhere, all the different social medias and stuff. Because sometimes I have to stop myself trying to talk about like how to do this, how to do that. There's just so many better people to break that down. But the reason I am telling you about this is because it's almost like you get to a certain points in the painting where you're like, I don't know what to do now. And so sometimes the basic fundamental ideas are important to say, okay, we'll just brighten it up. Where? Well, just in these regions. Because right now there is no, we've kind of departed from Bruno. So now you have to start playing around with it a little bit till you same thing applies. Let's brighten it up. I am looking at the Bruno portrait, but we know that we've departed from the Bruno portrait. But it gives you some indicators of where to take things and how things will look. Look at that, like little brush strokes change the entire painting. Just like warping his mouth, all of a sudden it gave him a different expression. I love that stuff. Do my paintings have meanings? Well, I don't know. To me, they do. But it's not a standard. It'd be pretty hard to define or lock it into a couple sentences. I think, it's just a reflection of who I am. And meanings always kind of change too. It's not really like if I told you a meaning about a painting I did a year later, if you asked me sincerely, I'd probably give you a definition or a breakdown, and it might be totally different. Some pieces have more meaning than others. That's for sure. Right now, I would just say, this is always about my mind and how much it races and how I'm trying to keep up with my own thoughts and my ideas. And I'm always, one of the cool things about painting is like, this was no idea where we were going to end up just an hour ago. So let's get a little, I'm gonna kind of just mentally change my intention, and we're just going a little bit harder into detail. And you kind of have to make it up, because we've kind of departed, like I said, from Bruno. But actually, before we get into super detail, let me get his hair. Give his hair some attention. You want to give it some attention. Let's see how we do here. This is a nicer brush. I can feel the difference, especially after using the other one, the cheaper one. So this is called a Renaissance. I don't think it's like super high end by any stretch, but it's definitely more pricey than the other brush. And it kind of like, sometimes the brush really can do some cool stuff for you. You're like, fuck, I can't believe I just did that. And then you realize, well, man, this brush is just awesome. Sometimes you can make terrible mistakes and you realize you got a brush that's just not working for you. All right, back to the hair. I think I'm talking about my brushes a lot because I just got them in the mail today. So got a bunch of stuff to play with. That's what excites me these days, new brushes in the mail. It sounds like I'm joking, I'm not. So I was thinking about this too. This is important to me. You don't have to make it look right, and you make mistakes on purpose, but then you just make them look good. You make them look good. So not correct. There's a difference between correct and good. So you're aiming for good, not correct. So you make all these mistakes, like I would call this total mistake, right? Remember earlier the lesson was just paint any portrait. I said the Friends cast. You spend however long on it trying to pull together Ross from Friends or Joey. And what you end up with is this monstrosity of a portrait. So that's the mistake. But then you use what you created during that time as that's where you're going, that's where you're taking it. So that's the magic, that's the whole thing. So now you take this mistake, let's call this like, okay, so I tried to paint Bruno Mars, look where we ended up. We got Bruno Mars at home, right? The meme. But now make this good. That's my whole thing. Take this, now how good can we make this? So when you start playing in with the details, like, okay, let's get those bloody like red eyes in the corners. Let's get these lips, make them look good. Let's get a shirt. The shirt will stick to the Bruno Mars's shirt. I think that's kind of funny. And then, now make this look good, not correct, because correct would be back to the original reference photo, the original idea. No, we've departed from correct. We took our mistakes and then made them useful and valuable. And it starts to keep coming together, and then if you kind of get stuck, well then go back. You can use the reference that I got Bruno's thing here because I see like here's these highlights in the forehead. So I'm keeping some of I need some sort of reference to keep going, and then you use also your own imagination. You kind of combine the two. So I just need to say this again for myself. It's not about correct. It does have to be good though. And how do you make it good? Well, you you take the mistake and then you finish it. You finish the mistake. You might even need different reference photos. That's common. So we'll have to pull up something else. Like, okay, that can take some time even, like finding some different stuff to pull from, like different lips. Like I can start looking at a different reference photo for these lips. Keep some of the reference photo from Bruno here. Bruno's helpful for like the sides, not necessarily the shape, but the sides of the, because remember the sides are going to be like a little darker than obviously here, the middle, they call it the T-zone, but over on the sides a little darker. We'll even get a little crazy. Let's do this. Let's give it more depth. Here. Let's put it in, you see that blue? Pick out your areas. You can sculpt. Oh, it's raining, I think. This brush, let me see. Another cool thing or tip or idea for you is when you find like certain reference photos, especially like the old, I was telling you, the mug shots that I was looking at, they're often like really blurry and far from high res, but I find those to be really helpful because you kind of have to fill in the blanks yourself, and that's a really good kind of like tool and skill set to figure out like how do I fill in this myself. And so when you use a reference photo that's really, you know, almost like not quite 8-bit, but like very blurry, very diffused, or not a lot of detail, you have to figure out yourself, like, okay, well, let me fill in the blanks. That's a good technique and skill set. So as I was saying, you make all these mistakes, you end up with this portrait. Now make this good. Back to my greeny blue. I don't want to abandon this yet. Theo Mag, what's going on? Okay. I can add some outside color if I have to sculpt if I really want to keep something. So here, what's happening? It is raining. That's nice. And even when you're making mistakes on purpose, you can still not like something. So not everything is, even though it's a mistake or it's like it's wonky, you still have to have the ability to go, that just doesn't work, even if it's kind of part of the idea of like, okay, let me just mess around, but like, I don't like it here. That's okay, so fix that up, right? So that's the process of making it good, making the mistake good. Not correct, but good. Now we're getting into like some variation. I can use a small brush to sculpt those eyes. Let's do that because that'll. This is also helpful for keep propelling yourself, like keep yourself feeling inspired and motivated, I guess. Take a break. Now we'll hit, because these details I'm adding in, some of the elements will stick around, but for the most part, it's more about this is more about helping myself see the light at the end of the tunnel, even though we're kind of still a little bit far away. But when you start adding these like kind of details, it doesn't mean that we're hitting the end zone. It's more about, I just need some motivation to keep going. And so when you start to see it more, it's almost like I'm faking it right now. I'm just lying. So I changed my brush, right? We went really quite dramatically to a fine, thin brush, which is this is probably like my favorite brush. Look at that, it's a 000, baby. It's just a fine brush, like a fine tip brush. Cheap, but I love them and I go through them pretty rapidly. But what I'm doing is I'm cheating in a sense. It's almost like I'm putting on the final touches of the painting, but we're only halfway done. But then I'm like, oh, I see it, I see him, I see this character. Cheating is the wrong word, but it's kind of funny to say it like that, because it's like, you know how you see the movies when they portray the artist will be like, they're done. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. Because I want to see it. I want to see what, because I'm just going to add details where I think they go. But the more small details, it'll help pull it all together and give me the juice, the gas to finish this, to pull this together. Oh, I use a lot of brushes. I don't know. I start off large. Here's what I can tell you. Start off large, so I have big, fat, large brushes to map everything, block everything out. Try to go as long as you can with the larger brushes. In fact, there's some artists that just hold on to those large brushes for the most part, which I admire. And then you start to shrink. You start to shrink the brushes. Again, there's no rules. Sometimes you might need to clean something up quickly, and you can go back and forth. I might bring out a big brush here for certain areas. But I wouldn't necessarily be concerned of how many different brushes you're using, more just you have big to small, especially for a portrait. Because that's also really hanging on to the theory of you start off with big blocks and then you work towards the details ever so slowly, and maybe you just want to stick to the bigger brushes and not worry so much about the details. That's also good. Good for you to experiment to see what you like to do, how you like to work. For me, like I said already, I kind of gave, I love this brush that I'm using right now. It's my go-to. But you'll see I'll pop back out at some point to a larger brush or a different brush based on the part of the painting that I'm working on. So now I'll go back to my Bruno Mars. I'm looking at his brows. So So I'm getting a bit of it, like pulling back from that reference. No what? No what? I can't read your name, otherwise I'd read it out loud. But no what? The eyes are the window to the soul. Let's see where this soul is landing. And start add. Let's go. I like to stick with one, right? Oh yeah, that's what I mean. I wouldn't get attached to that though. Like I think, I'm not going to say everyone has their own style, but I kind of think that's maybe like if you have a brush that you love to work with, Theo Mag, I would go with that. I would go with that. Like I said already, this is my favorite brush right now. I can do a bunch of different things with it. It slows me down. Like, so there's like unconventional reasons why I like it as well. I can't make any major dramatic brush strokes. So at a certain point, I want to start to slow down. Right now, it's like, okay, I'm okay with slowing down, seeing what we got, thinking about stuff. So there's a bunch of different reasons why I'm working with this brush particularly right now, because I'm just, yeah, I'm okay with slowing down. Let's see what we got. In this case, I'm actually talking to you guys, which I normally don't do. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So this brush right now is allowing me to kind of pace and think about what I'm doing while I talk to you. Let's sculpt those brows. But no, back to just the brushes. Brushes are, it's like two-pronged, or it's kind of like two, like they're the most important thing at the same time. They don't matter at all. It's almost like color. It's the most important thing at the same time. It doesn't really matter. It just depends where you are in the specific painting or where you're at with the process. But to go back to why I started with this brush in the first place is because this is like a cheat code. I want to get attached to the painting. I want to feel, I want to see, I'm like, yeah, I want to see this come to life. So I jumped into small details so that I can go, yes, I like it. Or try to get to myself to a point where I say that. Now let's give them some like, really some of those olive, or not olive, yeah, olive green. It's not really olive green, but it's these green eyes. So when you bring the windows of the soul to life, it's going to help the painting. And it's fine, even if you go like super crazy detail, you can, this can all be changed. Never get too attached, especially at certain stages. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for a number of reasons. But I think it's important to reinforce what I'm doing here by saying, I just want to see this piece. I want to get attached to it. So I'm using this. A small brush so I can put in these little details. Kind of want to give him a forehead tattoo all of a sudden. I don't think we're there yet, but that idea just popped in. I do have reoccurring themes for sure. Mixing up a whole new kind of palette. That's one amazing thing about oils over acrylics. This is a brand new like color. It's a variant of my palette that I have, a variant of the color, but it's and it just works. When you do that with acrylics, they often can really they don't kind of meld together, which is kind of some people love that. I don't. I just cleaned off my brush. You see I abandoned the small one. I didn't jump into anything big. This is my new filbert I got. Has a good drag. Sculpting the chin still. I should, in theory, clean this up. Let's see what happens when I clean that up. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to go like a super light gray. What happens here? Normally I actually try to stay away from this. I don't think it's necessary. But I'm breaking my own standard here. I just want to, again, I think in my mind, I just want to see it come to life as much as possible right now so that I can finish it. And I just wasn't getting the right face, the shape. Like the rough ears is fine, the hair, same thing, but let me hold it there for a moment. Let's go yellow teeth, yellow, gray, white, green even. I want like a golden smile that you bring slowly out. Oh, no. Sometimes you also don't want to let yourself go off the rails. Sometimes staying on the rails is more insane than letting yourself go crazy. I'll explain. So really now trying to bring this guy to life that came out of like a knockoff Bruno Mars, in my mind is more insane than if I gave him like missing teeth or like I said earlier, like a a forehead tattoo. Sometimes like really trying now to make this guy look not only real, but like have a real personality, like as if this is a real human being, is more insane than if I gave him a third eye and a head tattoo and a missing tooth and a second mouth, which are things I've done, all things I have done rather regularly as well. But this case, I'm like, okay, there's just something here. For me, he's strong enough to just see all the way through right now. Let's do it. Let's keep going. Because remember, this is like a mug shot, so this is, in theory, it's almost like this is a new character's mug shot. You can make a story about that. Why is he having his mug shot taken? And little imperfections or little kind of like subtle additions are the craziest thing. I promise. I promise you that. I think the way our minds work, our ideas, like, oh, it has to be like crazy, man, so crazy. Sometimes the craziest thing you can do is subtlety. Not always, I'll give you that, but like for something like this is like where we came from and the original. Let's get this going here. I think there needs to be some more aggressive depth, shadow. Look at these nice strokes. The right amount of paint with the right stroke works magic. Doesn't always happen that way. But you see, I'm back to this small little brush, and this is kind of typically how I work the most. It's the most common for me. It's almost like I get the most accomplished with the smallest brush. It's ironic. With the bigger brush, you kind of like go over things again and again and again and again. This doesn't give you that same opportunity. But sometimes I need that. I need to go over something again and again until I start to like it. And if I did that with a small brush, it actually wouldn't be that enjoyable for me. So there is a time where the bigger brush is going to be 100% the right tool for discovering where this is going. He kind of even changed since we've been working on it. It's almost he's changed into multiple characters, which I like. I like these lips. These lips are kind of telling their own story. He's got some gums. That's nice. It's nice that I gave him some gums. His nose is starting to come down. I thought it was going to be flat. Remember the game Guess Who? I don't know if they still have the game Guess Who. It's like I'm creating Guess Who characters. Does he have a small upper lip and a big bottom lip? Yep. Does he have olive green eyes? He does. It's a little brown. Does anyone remember guess who? Or am I just that old? Going into like this, like, we're skipping the olive skin here with this peach. It's more like a Caucasian peach. Let's see, but work it in. This is a dry brush. It's not, hasn't been used yet. So I'm just using the paint that I have on the paper. I'm not adding any paint, I'm using what I have. So it's a combination of like blending and pushing and pulling. You'll hear other painters talk about that, pushing paint, pulling paint. So kind of here's what I'm doing now. Using what I have. Cleaning up stuff too, in a sense. There's some clumpy shit here. What the hell is that? Okay. I see a bunch of clumps. I don't know what these are from. So you can really soften stuff with this technique. You can start to really blend the skin. You can blur some areas too that need to be almost reworked, or and then if the brush gets too coated or too much paint, either clean it off, dry it off completely, or grab a whole new brush again. So that's why I was saying earlier, Theo, that like I don't count, like I don't have a, I just have like a jar of brushes. I just keep pulling them out one after another. But then I do go back to the same ones regularly. Like I might not touch this brush again after this. This is a brush that I'm just using to calm everything down. I'll add a little more paint on here, but I want the olive back. I don't want to go into pure Caucasian skin. I want olive. But I made a lot of progress with that last brush, calming everything down. I also still told you I don't know what my paint mix must have had. I didn't clear off my palette good enough. It's bothering me. So back to this dry brush, clean it off. I'll show you it in a second. I'd say it's like 90% dry. And I'm just moving this around. You can really calm things down. And you can really play with this for a while, actually. I do like a little more, I like some marks in the work, so everything's not like super blended. And then if it needs a little more, you grab a different brush, you see. Then back to the dry brush. kind of rinse and repeat at this stage. So you're blending and getting those brows in. Question, how do you usually begin to paint? Well, I'll upload this, or this video will be uploaded, you'll see. I just start with a reference, Theo, and take it from there. It can either end up being a 3-day piece, or like in this case, it'll be a couple hours. So you just follow your reference photo until you want to depart from it. But every painting's kind of different, so, but there's also a lot of overlap. You just have to, I think the biggest thing is like getting inspired enough to start. That would be it. So I was saying earlier, like I was looking at mugshot photos all morning, or at least for a good, you know, almost an hour. And then that motivated me enough to get away from my computer and start painting. I do write down my ideas daily. I have multiple books where I write down my ideas, and I go to those when I need some inspiration or somewhere to start. So Bruno's got some little, I see. So I guess my painting mix just had clumps in it. Now back to, let's abandon everything, clean off everything. Give me a moment, I gotta clean these big guys. I probably won't go to these brushes again, these bigger ones, so we'll clean those right off. So you see these lines aren't black. You'll hear artists, from depending on who you're listening to, they'll talk about like never use like black out of the tube. There's some reasons for that. Here's the best reason why, like in the face, if I would put like black lines here, it's going to throw everything off when it comes to like certain levels of realism. I can always go a little darker, but I would have to really do a lot of work to pull out the black lines if I like pulled black right out of the tube. This typically won't serve you. However, there's times where I do use black, like straight, like really dark blacks in my portraits. Just depends on, because I can kind of emphasize stuff and bring attention to certain things, which is fun. So I don't really have like standard rules, but this was just something I think about. Like these lines look like, if you look at the reference photo, they look at first glance, or they look like they're like these black lines underneath, like eyelids. They're not. Even the eyebrows, the hair, same thing. There might be some blacks in the hair, but it's not black out of the tube typically. But sometimes when you're playing with the shadows and stuff, black out of the tube could serve you. Serve you well. As you see, like I'm just kind of finding the area because I can clean these up. So when you make these marks, some of them will stay, some of them need to be cleaned up. But we're adding more depth by adding, like, I'm playing in the shadow game now. See that? See that? Let me press record here. So this is actually more red. So there's some red, blue, so you'd think purple, but it's more like a brown. But I just added some black into it so that I can go back to these brows. Let's get them right. Too much. Too much. So now I'm actually going back to that dry brush technique. And I'm going to play with what I just did. I just clean this brush right off. So now we're at like high 90, 95% dry. But let me start. Keep cleaning it off because you're pulling the paint off and I don't want to smear it. I just want to blend it. Calm it down, maybe better. Even that hair. Calm it down. We'll get a little bit Okay. What do you mean, what technique do I use? CO? I don't understand. Do you straight up paint or do you, no, I just paint. But actually in this video I talk about that. Check it out when I'll upload it at some point. And I kind of get into that because there's a bunch of reasons why you would draw something out. There's a bunch of reasons why you would trace, grid, and then there's other reasons why you'd use acrylics first and then paint oil on top. There's a bunch of reasons why I paint the way I do, where I'm looking for the painting. I don't have the painting in mind when I start. So the technique will be, will vary and change all the time, especially for me. Whereas you'll find other artists that have a really good regiment and follow their, have almost like a protocol, and it works really well for them. I support it and I recommend it, but for me, I just can't, one week to the next, it's almost like I'm an entirely different painter. But there are, in all fairness, there's a lot of stuff I do all the time. So it's not always new. But no, this one you'll see I just started painting Bruno Mars. And look where we ended up. Let's go a little bit here. Oh, I see. Yeah, I didn't clean my palette properly with a few of the paints, and it leave these clumps in there. I think you have to train yourself to learn from your mistakes. So I want to, my reaction was I'm going to put some black in this ear hole. It's just not black. But it's almost like it plays tricks on you. It's not black in the ear hole. As they say. You should give some attention to, don't abandon. So I'm giving this ear a little bit of love. Don't forget about this guy. He's here too, as they say. Oh. So now I want to go back to sorry, I lost a little bit of steam. Not with the painting, but me chirping and yapping. So just want to pull this together now. Let's see how this does. It's like a painter's gray, maybe. Try to find some, even if you create it yourself, some sort of pattern so that it has consistency. It's okay if it gets darker in some areas, it's good. We're imagining it goes left to right. Got to fix those eyes. We'll do the teeth. Maybe an earring. Be careful. Okay. Uno momento. Ugh. That was a long stretch. Let me take a look. I just took off my glasses. Yeah, he's cool. It's fine. Put my glasses back on. Thanks, Theo. Let's see. Let's go a little brighter. Kind of the same idea too, left to right.
So let's pick out a few things. We'll hit the eyes are have to be a little bit thoughtful. They're not white. Same thing as that idea of like the black out of the tube. Eyes are not, they're never white. Even the highlights are very rarely.
You can get away with it, but
they're this combination of like blues, grays, reds, whites. Even some of the skin color that you're using. Let's look at Bruno's eyes. Now clean off this brush. Same one I was just using. Get it to like 100%. And then get back in there and blend what you just did with the eye. And this is the magic of why I paint on paper. Because you can get these really great effects that are instantaneously. Whereas if I was painting on canvas, this would be almost too wet to blur like this. It's almost like you need a different technique. Kind of hard to explain, but the paper allows me to play with certain colors differently than a canvas does. That might be too much. So I actually just clean my brush off before I even put the paint on. Those olive green eyes with the olive skin. Put a little of the green in those teeth.
give him a gold stud earring. So we'll start actually with the yellow ochre.
Just make it up.
Add a little brown and black in there behind it.
Just make it up. Less is more.
Brighten up the yellow ochre with some white. Get your brush right. It's not yellow, but it's fine. Well, it's actually forgettable.
Oh, he's getting two.
Oh yeah, there he goes. Oh, gold teeth, you bet. What is it? You got it. Brown, yellow ochre, dark brown, yellow ochre, a little red, black.
This one or this one? This one. Yeah, we'll have to make it work now. See, that's a mistake. But make it work.
These you might want to use extreme white
Highlights.
gangster, right? As the kids say, gangster, man.
Okay, let's go with more detail. more definition. Calm some things down. Oh wow, he's got like that cool eyebrow thing. Turn into a sexy little dude. All right, keep going. So I kind of got this, you see how there's like a bit of sporadic burst of energy here. We'll add a little more highlight into some of the eye closer to the middle. It looks bright right now, but hang on, I'm going to calm it down, dry this brush off, move it around a little bit. You see it kind of totally calm down right away. Canvas won't do that. Paper does it. Do it again. Same thing, same technique, bright here. You're sculpting the eye, you're adding highlight, everything. More, more, more. More. Less turpentine. More paint. Clean that brush off, work it in. Sculpt some of those lines. More. I want it here more. So more paint. Less medium. More. Clean your brush right off, dry it off. Minor, now we're like kind of like, I always talk about how this is a good reference, like kind of analogy for me, but when you build a house, you have the framing carpenters that frame the house, the bones. Then you have the roughing carpenters that build like kind of the add-ons, and they build, it's still almost framing because they're still adding some bones, but then you have the finishing carpenters. This is the finishing carpenter stage where you're doing like really minor details here. The eyes are important because they'll bring a sense of realism. Go a little even crazier here. I think the highlights aren't going to be down below, but we'll just... We'll go a little crazy, keep going crazy, it's fine. Because in the finish, if I take my analogy like the finishing carpenter, it's got a small brush, so harder to make mistakes. And if you do make a mistake, easy to fix it. Find what things you don't like about the piece. See, I got this like gray, green happening. Even if you don't like it, don't give up on it yet. Work with it. Get some color in there. I don't love his eyes. A few things. I don't love underneath here, so let's just... Kind of like a red. Let's add a little bit of... Remember I told you, so now we got like a really dark black blue. The darkest color I've used so far, besides maybe some of the hair. And listen, nice and gentle, don't rush now. Calm down. Finalize those shapes. We'll pull it all the way over. Even add some eyelashes there. Let's add a little bit of depth into the mouth. Might be too nostrils. Now you see I went to that light green gray. Let's go to yeah, the glasses are like a super Lily. The glasses are honestly like a game changer. So as I got older, especially more recently, my eyes started to fail me. But now it's kind of like a superpower because I have different vision and different perspectives on things. So I often will start a painting with no glasses. Then I upgrade to the glasses with just a minor magnification. Then right now I'm at my top. I'm at my like most magnifying lenses. And I love doing that. I enjoy it so much. So it took kind of something that was kind of a bummer, to be honest. Like losing my vision wasn't the most pleasant epiphany or like realization. Like, oh my God, things are blurry, man. Like I can't see, like I honestly can't see my phone without glasses now. And but I really love getting a different perspective on my paintings. And so it's like a superpower. I'm not joking about that. I really love it now. I look forward to playing with my glasses when I'm painting. And I typically look at my art when it's finished with just one like I think like a normal person's eyes. So I don't look at my painting when it's completed with my magnifying glasses on. I think that's not, I don't like it. I like just to look at it with like a slight, just so things aren't blurry. Let's pull some red right into those eyes. This will add some more. So I clean my brush off with just a little bit of red in there. And if it's too much, we can calm it down. It's fine. So there's this red in the corners there. Even so, I'm pulling in some of that. I think we will just do this for shits and giggles. Remember, this is like remember that sexy mugshot viral guy who became like a model and all that? There's a bit of that vibe going on now. Sometimes you want to exaggerate things and it'll work. So for example, these are these olive green eyes, but I'm adding a little blue. So I don't want, I'll just add a little dimension in these eyes. This is like a dark blue now. Not a lot of paint blurring into the work we've done. Adding it all around. Very nice fine strokes. It's better sometimes than like, again, like black out of the tube. These like variation colors. Let's go harder on those teeth. It's meaning like, let's go like boom, boom. He's got some like, let's go with, are you ready for the, watch how fun this is. So this is, I lied. This is just straight, it's probably 90% white here. Bam. Bam. It's got a nice reflection, very glossy-eyed. Add a little more down there. You can do what you want at this point. Let's go back to the skin. I want olive skin, so not Caucasian skin. So mix in, get your right mixture here. However, I want it highlighted. So we're gonna hit it there. Let's pick out some areas. Drag your brush properly. I can't teach you that, but it's not like, it's these light, not random necessarily, but in a sense. You can always clean things up. Don't be afraid. He's got some. I can calm all this down if I need to. Don't be afraid. Art for Nows, what's up? Hi everyone. ASDE, what's up? Okay. I am going back to my Bruno Mars portrait to see where his highlights are. Okay, now watch, I'll show you. Let me grab this. This is a dry brush, just like a cheap little thing, and just pulling almost in a different direction. See, I was pulling this way. Let's go up. Let's calm it down a little bit. Some parts don't need to be calmed down. Here I'm dabbing. I don't want them to look 100% like brush strokes, and I don't want them to look, I'm not in a blending mode, a total blending mode. I am after a painterly style here. So those eyes are still not quite, let me try a little bit more here. What I mean by the eyes now is there's like, they're not highlights. So you gotta like control yourself, because we were just doing highlights everywhere. They're not highlights on those eyes. They're in the shadow game. They're in the shadow game. And they're blurry, and they're not, they're blotchy. No, I like that a lot better. All we just did there is just give it a little attention. Just give you a little attention. That's all we did. Just a little attention. Then you'll give them a little highlight. Things you'll learn, like, it's like you think, oh, it needs like a white highlights. No, no. Highlights are very rarely, unless you did those eyes like I showed you. That was me just kind of having fun though, to be honest. Like, I could have got away with a much calmer, like a gray. Little variation in color doesn't hurt anybody. We'll lighten it up a little bit. Not a lot of paint on the brush. Little micro strokes happening. Remember, we're creating a Guess Who character, so it's all in your own mind how he comes out. I only used one reference for this photo. I typically, it's not that common. Because I'm streaming, there's a bit of a different workflow here. Normally I would grab
other references to pull in like a different, almost like a different character. That's what I typically enjoyed, but it would totally derail the stream. That's not going to work, but that's okay. I am seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe there's a little highlight underneath this lip. Again, you can always calm things down, especially on this paper. We're using paper, not canvas. Really easy to calm things down. For example, we'll do it now. Let me grab my filbert and dry it off completely. Let's try to get it to 100% dry. So what I didn't like something, oh, this. You see that? It was like, a dry brush over it, calmed everything right down. Doesn't mean it's done, but it's getting closer. Some of those lines are maybe too aggressive. Calm them down. Calm that tattoo down, make it go right into the skin. Some of the blending that doesn't look good, you can work that. Let's just do this this will help with, I can't remember what shirt he's got, like a, make it up. These extra details pull some of the other, help the consistency of the overall painting, the way it lands when your eyes first hit it. It's not necessary, but it helps. So I am looking at the Bruno Mars again. This isn't, something's happening there. Let's get that. Just a little bit of paint on the brush, not a lot. Back to my small guy that never fails. So when you're using the other brush, I just wasn't getting what I wanted. Subtleties, baby. Subtleties. Blotchiness is a real thing, not just in the painting, but in real skin. This has to look right. He's got a little bit. This turned out to be more of a portrait than a crazy exploration piece, but so be it. Yeah, remember, if you watched earlier, you'll see this guy just spoke to me right away. So much so that he ended up being
he ended up being the guy. You see these little blotchy marks, but there's a rhyme and reason. It's pulling out the highlights where the face, like a terrain. I feel like I'm getting a little carried away, so what I'll do is calm it down and then call it. But that's actually harder. Yes, sir. Harder. Yes, sir. Go nuts here. Pick your spots. Whatever. Go with it. You kind of try to create a narrative like as if it makes sense. And then this was actually working the best so far. So not the filbert, but the flathead. Dry it off. Let's get it like 90%. Nope, let's go at 100% here. So you can just now sit back, look at the painting, stand back, like in the movies. And just pick away at any, I'm using the paint that's on the, dry it off again, clean it off again rather. Some of the marks can be really aggressive, and then some of them, let's calm them down. Yeah, this brush is perfect for this. Just some of here is not, it's not perfectly blended. Let's do that. Let's add a little. There's like a little bit. This just shows some attention, gives attention to some of the hair. So we can call this piece. That's the whole, my MO here. Give it some sculpted and give it some direction. The reference photo is very blurry, so you're just let's go a little harder. I think like here and here. Oh, there. And then if you wanted to, which I think I will, I'm going straight into the black, adding a little blue, drying off the brush. And then also the same kind of technique, but just the other direction. Find your darkest areas. Here's going to have more, I think, this side, right? Don't get it all. Just pick your spots. This just has more. Remember, if I made a mistake, let's say I added too much, it just was too dark, we can calm it down. So I keep saying that because you want to get to a point where it's not stressful or scary. And if you think about it like these are this creating Guess Who characters, then it gives you a liberty, like a freedom. And when you get comfortable knowing what the materials are doing and the tools are doing, if I don't like something, you can just really quickly just shift it. I won't lie, I've been working on this painting longer than I anticipated. That's fine. There's like some I think we're going to go really hard here. This is a foreign zone, so meaning that we have not hit these colors yet. This level of highlight. But just taking my own advice, don't be afraid. Can always calm it down if it needs it. Maybe you don't even need to calm it down. Just let me take off my glasses. Okay. Oh, you know what I want to do? Let's make sure these are real gold. Make sure these are real gold. You know, like 24 karat. I don't want them to look like you got cheap knockoffs. It's the real deal. This guy's the real deal. That's all right. Just want some beautiful blues. And then, this keeps going, you can go forever, right? What I'm trying to get is I might even have to change my reds. No. Let's go here. Yeah, I like that. Keep it going. All right. Yes, sir. Uh-oh. All right. Oh, okay. Oh, that was a 2 hour. Thanks, guys. I'm out. I'll upload someday. Bye.